Mr. Speaker, there's a steadily growing appreciation that democracy will be improved by moving toward a form of proportional representation. Indeed, Manitoba Liberals have not only recognized this, but have committed to move the province toward this enhanced democracy. I ask the Premier, does the NDP government support the Manitoba Liberal initiative to move toward proportional representation?
Mr. Speaker, the website actually says something different. It says they support studying it, Mr. Speaker. And of course, we would obviously be open to studying any system. That we've had similar systems in Manitoba in the past. They were changed in 1957 under the Roblin government of the day, who went to a first past the post system. We've made very significant forms in democracy in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker. We've banned corporate union donations, was not supported by the members of the opposition. Banning corporate union donations put the purchasing power for democracy back in the hands of the average citizen. We've supported public support from political parties in Manitoba. The opposition has resisted that, Mr. Speaker, and voted against that on a continuous basis. That allows political parties to offer more independently from favor of corporate or big business influence or big influence from anybody in particular, Mr. Speaker. We've opened up our polls to allow people to vote anywhere they live in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker, and we've made advance polling more frequent in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker. We're open to any good ideas on improving democracy, which will allow the people of Manitoba to get good quality government, which they deserve, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, proportional representation can result in a legislature composition which is better representative of all Manitobans. Manitoba Liberals have already announced that they would bring in proportional representation. Would the Premier himself support a legislature which better reflects the wishes of all voters using proportional representation, as Liberals will do?
I'll repeat the answer I made on the first time he queried me on this, Mr. Speaker. We're open to studying along with the member opposite. These questions are important in how we can improve democracy. I only wish the member opposite would stand up and say he did not, that he supports our legislation to ban corporate union donations. I hope he supports the bill that we have in front of the House right now, which moves us towards a permanent voting list, Mr. Speaker. And we've ceded the federal election onerous requirements for people to identify themselves when they go to the polls. We have a system in Manitoba where you can vouch for somebody when they go to the polls, and our chief electoral officer has said that's a very sound system which allows more people to vote. We do not want to put that at risk like the members of the opposition do. That would disentitle people that are senior citizens. That would disentitle people without driver's licenses. We want every Manitoban to have the right to vote, and I hope the member from River Heights will support that initiative and not pretend that he has opposed it in the past and he has opposed banning corporate union donations, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the Premier should check the facts before he makes statements. But, Mr. Speaker, I see that the Premier is uncertain about where he stands on proportional representation. While the Manitoba Liberals want to move forward with proportional representation and a system in which the legislature better reflects the desires of all voters, the NDP and the Premier remain stuck and unsure of where they stand. Why, after 16 years of government, is the Premier not able to state clearly where he stands for or against proportional representation?
I've answered that question twice, but he speaks to the issue of greater representation in the legislature, and that is one of the most important things in a democracy, is to have people in the legislature that reflect all the peoples of Manitoba. And I'm proud of the caucus that we have on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker. We represent all the different parts of Manitoba. We represent Indigenous people. We represent people of visible minorities, we represent women and men, of course, and we represent people from all parts of Manitoba, the north, the rural areas, the urban areas, and we look forward to encouraging more people to enter into the democratic process and presenting themselves for office. That's the key, is recruiting good quality citizens, of which we have over 1 million in Manitoba, that want to consider presenting themselves for public life. And we know We know that there are people that want to do that, which is why we've reformed the rules of this legislature to make it more family friendly so people can actually come and be in this place and still be able to have time for their families. These are all measures to make a democracy more accessible, to make democracy more accountable, to make a democracy fair by banning corporate and union donations. And I invite the member to look at a broader discussion on how we can strengthen the democratic fabric of this province, Mr. Speaker.